Hello, welcome to another How to Become a TV Presenter podcast with Brian Naylor from the TV Training Academy. I'm joined today by Gemma-Leigh James, who is here to tell us a little bit about her story and how she's made it in the industry. Hi, Gemma.
Good morning.
Good morning.
Well, I'm saying good morning. If you're listening to this, it could be any time of the day, but we're recording this very early in the morning.
We are indeed, yeah. So, Gemma, first of all then, you weren't in entertainment or presenting or anything when you decided to change. What was all that about? How did that start?
So I became of an age where I had what I thought was everything in life. So I had the nice house, the nice car, the steady job that I was doing very well. I worked in the oil industry up in Aberdeen, where I'm originally from. But I just thought there's more to life than this. I just wasn't fulfilled. I wasn't happy. And I read Paul McKenna's book, Change Your Life in 7 Days. A huge fan of Paul McKenna. And one of the things he says is, what would you do today if you knew you couldn't fail? And I sort of went back to my childhood where I loved performing. And I used to present on the radio station at my school. I did all the school plays and everything. But you know what? Growing up, I was always told, it's not a proper job. You know, and so that kind of gets ingrained in you.
But I've heard that a lot. It's not a proper job. Go and get a proper job.
But it is. And there's people very, very well paid doing it.
Yeah.
So that's, obviously, I took the safe option and went and worked in a different career. But this was always sort of niggling at the back of my mind. And I decided one day just to take the leap and move to Manchester and start my career.
Okay. Why Manchester? Was it wasn't such a huge leap as London, I guess?
Yeah. I mean, I had been to Manchester. I had a few sort of connections. Although when I moved there, I didn't really know anyone. It was literally starting my life from scratch. I knew that it had a really good media industry and it had Media City. I was really interested in acting. I knew there were some good acting schools there and it was a good way to get into the industry. And I just loved Manchester. I loved the people there. It was really friendly and I just felt that it was a little bit like a new home.
Okay, and so what was your first step then? How did you go about starting this huge machine, this whole sort of new career? What did you do?
Well, first of all, everyone will tell you the reasons why it won't work. And you just have to not listen to them because that is their own fears and projections coming out. And you just have to know that it is going to work if you put 200% into it. And what I found is it's not always... You're not always the best at something to get to your goal, but if you have got that dedication and passion, you will get. So I lived on Media City, which was great. I was out networking at BBC and ITV events and things like that. I started off at Coronation Street, the tour. So I was a tour guide there. So I was showing people how the sets worked, industry secrets, things like that. So that wasn't TV presenting. It was a sort of performance job. It was getting in front of people and speaking. So it was a kind of step in the right direction. And there's a few things that came of it due to being in that role. But everyone kept telling me that I needed a showreel. You need to get yourself a showreel. So I decided to try and film what you're laughing. You should see Brian's face. I decided to film one of my own on my phone.
Yeah, I've heard this story very, very often. Lots of new presenters do that.
And it was just dreadful. Of course, some of your friends will say, oh, that's great. That's really good.
Friends
but really,
and family,
not
a reliable source.
No, it's not. And the sound wasn't great. Obviously, it's so much more than just a showreel. You need to know how you're going to market yourself, what genre presenting. And there's just so much to making a good showreel. It's a little bit like an art, if I'm honest, and you do need that direction.
Yeah, you've got to come across as a professional. You've got to instill confidence in a producer or a director that, you can do the job. And if it's done on a phone and you're just winging it and, you're not really showing any specific TV presenting skills. It's almost like you're on a Skype call a lot of the time.
Yeah, I mean, I know that there's castings out there that often they'll ask you for self-tapes and things like that, but that's because you're already usually in the door at that stage. And I think just to for people to take you seriously, you need that showreel. So I then decided you're going to laugh at this because I know you'll have heard this before. I went to go and get a videographer to film a showreel.
Okay.
Which is very expensive. And don't get me wrong, videographers are brilliant at what they do, whether they're doing weddings or videos, but they can't give you the direction that you're starting out, or they can't give you scripts, they can't show you what you're doing right and what you're doing wrong. They are interested in getting good shots and making...
Yeah, so they're very good at making sure the lighting's right,
Yes.
or the depth of focus is right, or they've got some, really nice cinematic shots.
Yeah.
But as you say, they're not actually in a position to go, okay, what you need to do is to get your personality out here is, or you're moving too much, or your eyeline isn't quite right, or the energy's too much or too small, or a number of different possibilities that could actually be wrong to show your personality as a presenter.
So you need a director. You need somebody that is going to coach you and really know what you need to get your showreel seen. So I did that. That was very expensive and it was dreadful, and it kind of knocked my confidence as well, because I just felt like I was trying to do the right thing, but I was like, oh, is this really for me? I really, really want to do this, but why is it not sort of working out for me? And I was at another networking event, and a producer said to me, right, these guys are who you want to go work with. It's TV Training Academy. It's when you did your one-day course up in Manchester. So I did the one-day course, and that was excellent. And she actually called me after the one day and said, how did you feel? And I said, oh, I absolutely loved it. And she says, well, I would definitely recommend their week course, the longer course. And that was it. And that's when I come to see you. And we got a showreel. It was very professional. It was what I needed. My showreel now, 4 or 5 years later, looks completely different.
Yeah, and so it should.
But that showreel got me paid work within a couple of weeks.
It's the launch pad. That's what they're designed to do. Yeah.
Showreels, they're never finished. My showreel that I've got today, I'm still looking to update it. I'm still adding bits in depending on who I'm sending it to, which is a good position to be in, to have several showreels or have a choice of clips that you put in. Your showreel's never finished. It's always a work in progress. And I think as a performer, you're never happy with your showreel, because it's never finished. You're always aiming for something bigger.
It's a very personal thing, a showreel. It's kind of like a photo, because if you've ever sort of had a photo taken, and people go, oh, that's really nice, I like that. And you go, yeah, I don't really... It's kind of weird looking at yourself, and you're very judgmental. So sometimes you really do need somebody from the industry to look at your photos, but more importantly, your showreel, and give you an objective look at what's going to work for you as a performer, not what your own, not ego, but your own sort of insecurities in a way where you just think, oh, I don't look nice, or I don't sound, I said that funny, I did that weird. Nobody else is noticing that.
Yeah, no, it's very true. You know the headshot story, do you? Because I got headshots done as well, just from a photographer. That again was a good photographer, but he wasn't a headshot specialist or anybody that knew about performance and how to get that look across that you need for your portfolio or your headshot. So again, that was another sort of kick in the teeth.
Right.
I have got some nice headshots now, but it's just all those things when you're starting out in the industry and you don't know where you're going to go. So yeah, it's knowing where to start and who to get that correct advice from, because there's a lot of bad advice out there.
Yeah, there is. So you had that five-day showreel from tvtrainingacademy.com, and from there you then started working on what were your steps?
So the producer then hired me on her channel, which was a local channel up in Manchester, which was great. I got some corporate work from it, which is really nicely paid. It's not going to be the end goal for a lot of people.
But it pays the bills.
But it pays the bills.
Yeah.
It gets you experience. And let's face it, when you start out in the industry, it's unlikely, it's not unheard of, but it's unlikely if your goal is to be on This Morning, the One Show, or Strictly Come Dancing, to host their show, it's unlikely you're going to go from nothing to hosting primetime TV, because you need that experience. You need to sort of prove to them that you're right for that show, what you're going to bring. So you are going to be starting out with lower budget stuff, and they've all done it. All these presenters, even reality TVs to an extent, they've done stuff that you won't have heard of.
Yeah.
It's just you see them for the first time on mainstream TV, you think, where have they come from? They've just been plucked
Overnight success.
Yeah, they're an overnight success.
Yeah.
No. Overnight successes are usually, 5 to 10 years in the making. They've been doing something in the industry.
Yeah.
And you will be starting off on like little corporate videos or little videos that are being put up on YouTube for various companies. There's a lot of work up there, a lot of work, and it's very well paid, and it's much better than a 9-to-5 boring job.
Yeah. So 4 years after leaving, or 5 years possibly after leaving the oil industry, you then move to Manchester, get yourself a showreel, get trained up on how to present effectively, start doing, as a jobbing presenter does, bits and pieces here, corporate work, a little bit of work for channels, local channels and other bits and pieces. And then you find yourself going into radio.
Yeah.
And congratulations, last year you were an award-winning Best Female Presenter, runner-up, or Silver Award.
I was going to say, it's not runner-up, it's silver.
Okay.
Silver.
Yeah. So you are an award-winner. I mean, that's pretty good going.
It's pretty good. And a lot of people say to me, do you know what, to them it feels like it's happened overnight, but I thought I've had to blooming work hard for that, you know. People don't realise behind the scenes how many letters that I've written to people. I'm updating my showreel. I'm going and doing, occasionally I've had to do free stuff to get the experience, to get contacts. I say the 3 C's. I think there's actually 4. When you're doing a job and you're starting out, you have to have what I call the C's. And depending on where you are on the ladder will depend on how many C's get ticked off. So first of all, everyone wants cash, everyone needs to pay the bills, but sometimes when you're starting out, that's going to be on the lower side. If not, you're maybe just doing it for experience. But you need to get something else out of it if you're doing it for free. So contacts. So are you working with somebody that may give you industry experience or a job at a later date?
Or just a great contact who can put you in touch with other people.
Or even just it looks good on your CV. That's another thing, building your CV up with experience. And then I think the 4th thing is probably just confidence, because the more stuff you do, you will get confident. And it even last year when I won, I was thinking, I really am a presenter, because there's that imposter syndrome when you're starting out. You hear it, you've got to fake it till you make it. I don't like that saying, because you shouldn't fake it, but you should be actively doing stuff.
Yeah, I think that applies to us. The bit where you fake as a new performer is you just fake your experience. And you not fake your experience, but fake your sort of confidence within the industry and experience within the industry, because that instills confidence in a producer or a director. But your performance itself and your ability and skills as a presenter, I think you're absolutely right. You don't fake that. That has to be genuine. That has to come from you. And people can spot fakes. People can see it in your eyes if you're faking that. But you do have to just sort of big yourself up a little bit at auditions. Just a tad, just subtly. Don't lie. That's not what I'm saying at all. But
no, you will get caught out if you're lying.
Yeah, you will. But really, what I'm saying is, you go into an audition or a screen test, or when you meet producers and directors, that's when you big up your confidence within what you've done and how you perform and your ability or experience. That's when you big it up, because if you go in there and you're sort of a bit wishy-washy and go, I haven't really done anything very, very significant, it's kind of like,
you're rusty.
You're rusty, and there's a lack of confidence right there. And a lack of confidence is a big turn-off. I thought of the 4th C. So you have confidence, cash, contacts, and content. If it's going to give you content for your showreel.
Well, there's actually 5 then.
Oh, well, this could go on, couldn't it?
Yeah. No, content's a good one.
Yes, because then you just build up more experience on that particular showreel. So award-winning. Anything else great about working in the radio? Because I understand there's like loads of contacts. Other industry professionals are working on local channels and everywhere, aren't they?
Yeah. I mean, I love radio. I love what I do. It's just one of the best jobs ever, I think.
Yeah.
But yes, once you're working in the industry, you meet people very quickly who will recommend you for work. because that job might not necessarily be for them. So I get a lot of sports presenting jobs. I don't know why, but I seem to see them a lot, or people tell me about them. I don't want to be a sports presenter. It doesn't float my boat, but I will pass that on to somebody that I think is
Yeah.
you know,
And a lot of the
suitable.
jobs, as you were just saying, are referrals. Oh, I know somebody. So to start off as a presenter, you've got to get a foot in the door. You've got
Yeah.
to be in the actual pool, or at the table, doing something for referrals to happen. If you're sat at home, waiting for the phone to ring with a video up on YouTube or a video up on one of the casting websites, that's when people just lose faith in it. They say, oh, there's no opportunities, nothing ever happens. You're just doing it wrong.
I mean, don't get me wrong, those casting websites are brilliant.
Oh, they
for-
are.
for
It's a great-
start-
it's
for
a
starting
great
up,
first
but
step.
You are very unlikely just by being on a website to get full-time work. You will get jobs here and there, which is great, but if you're looking for that full-time job and to be well paid, you need to be doing so much more.
Yeah, and that's
So
where
much
radio
more.
really comes in, because you're also using the same skills and talents and working to time and energy in the voice and communication skills. All of those things are happening in radio, which are relevant to TV.
Yeah.
So,
And things do go wrong in the industry. I've had power cuts and everything that have happened on my radio show, or guests that maybe haven't turned up on time, and you need to be able to deal with that.
yeah, you do.
You need to be able to deal with that, because it's not if it happens, it's when it happens. One of my first times that I was on Talkback for, it was an As Live show that we were doing, and my batteries went on my Talkback, and I only knew how to deal with it because you guys at TV Training taught me.
What to do?
What to
How
do.
to signal the gallery without actually
Yeah.
making it obvious to the audience.
And I
yeah.
had work from that producer because they
They were just
thought-
impressed and
yeah,
they had
that
confidence in your skills and
Yeah,
ability.
because there's nothing worse than somebody being a bit nervous. I mean, you're always going to be nervous, but you've got to turn that nervous into excitement.
Yeah.
You can't be nervous thinking, oh, am I right for the job? What's going to go wrong?
So being well prepared, having confidence in your own talent and skills, that comes from just working with a few industry professionals, getting trained in the right fashion, getting a really solid, professional-looking show reel, and then knowing what to do with it. That's the thing.
Yes, that's it. Once you've got your show reel, it's not a case of just popping up on a casting website and waiting for the jobs to come for you. You do need to be writing to people. You do need to be actively looking on all the websites, the industry websites, going to all the networking events. There's so many of them in London and even up in Manchester. You've got to be able to travel.
Yeah.
You know, this industry can change very quickly. In fact, one of my friends, a really good friend of mine, is a radio presenter, and he's had to relocate to Manchester, but he's presented on one of the biggest radio stations in the country. To get that job, he had to do free work, where he was actually losing money because he was having to pay out in accommodation, he was having to pay a train fare, and he was having to do a few shifts, cover shifts, to prove that he was right for that job. And that's the dedication that will get you in
the door.
In the door.
Yeah. You've got to prove yourself. Nobody's going to come knocking at your door. You've got to prove yourself, get a foot in the door, and then referrals happen. It all starts to move once you start that thing going, though. You've got to take action.
I was talking to a radio producer just before Christmas there, and she was saying how few reels she gets through, or people send it to her once and she never hears from them again. And she says, bug me. I want to see what you're doing. I want to hear the progress that you put. Now, you might be writing to producer every 3 to 6 months, depending on how you're updating your reel. And it might take a year to 2 years, even longer or shorter. Everybody's different. But if you're doing that, you're constantly on the radar. Because a lot of jobs, before they even make it out to casting websites, they're cast internally. People will say, right, we've got this position. Do you know anyone? Who can we get in? So it goes on word of mouth first.
Yeah.
And that's why networking, not just with other presenters, with producers, with even just runners, everybody in the production industry, just get a name. Nobody's going to know that you're out there. You have to say, right, I'm here.
Yeah,
This is what I do.
Announce your arrival and do it in style with a great show reel and be be ready, be prepared, be confident and comfortable and skilled at what you want to work in. Easy as that. Listen, Gems, thank you so much for coming in. It's great talking to you again. Hopefully we'll get you back sometime for another chat about something. Keep us informed in what you do in the future.
Thank you.
Thank you very much. We'll be back with another podcast. Give us a like. Go to tvtrainingacademy.com. Check out what we're doing. You can check out our Facebook page as well. And don't forget, we do events all the time on how to become a TV presenter, vlogger, on-screen presenter. Again, you can find them via our website or join our mailing list. That's the easiest way. I'll see you next time. Bye for now.